The BMW X3 has been around for a while now, and without having exact figures, I would say it's probably the most popular model in the BMW range currently in South Africa. Of course, that's not difficult to say when you consider the popularity of SUVs. It has gone through a few changes along the way. There have been a few updates and upgrades, and there was, of course, an update during last year on the model that is now proudly built in South Africa. You can still see some very, very typical and recognizable features, but they've sharpened up a few angles, a couple of gills, a couple of sharp angles and things like that that you can see that are very clear. LED headlights, and let's not forget the BMW gills, as they call the kidney gills, that get bigger and bigger on every model that you see. So features like that that you take into account as well and have a look at. You come around, of course, and you have a look, and this car features really neat looking 20-inch mag wheels. They look good, they look the part, and they certainly fill those arches nicely, don't they? And you can see maybe hard ride, but it's also the run flats, things like that that you'd have to allow for, but they certainly, as I say, do look the part. The X3 body itself, of course, you've got an M badge over there, but that's an M package badge, not an M model, as I'm sure you can realize, but it does give you things like little body skirts and a couple of other extra features on the bodywork that you can just see along the way as well. X3 has grown with every generation, and the current one is actually about the same size as the original X5 model. So you can see, gives you lots and lots of space in the rear. And that, of course, is what a family buyer for a family SUV would want. Jumping in the back seat, you can see lots of legroom with that driver's seat set for myself, as I always do. And even with the panoramic roof, there's good headroom as well. And that's important for a buyer in this category. Rear seat passengers are catered for very nicely with air conditioning, and it's a separate zone, so you've got your own controls for the air conditioning over there, and two USB ports down below. So families certainly do get their connectivity along the way, and that's good for the kids in the back seat, of course. Getting out of the back seat, you'll see, for example, there are a couple of little features, and a neat one I did notice is there's a little lever down at the side over there, which does allow you to adjust the angle of the backrest of the back seat if you want to do so. Just some adjustment over there. Obviously, A, for comfort, and B, does adjust boot space very, very slightly. Also, ISOFIX fittings on the two outer rear seats, which are important for family use. Come round towards the rear and you'll see the new treatment of the tail lights that, of course, angle in towards the tailgate, and then again the gills and the airflows, etc., that you have, sharp angles and mean looking exhausts, diffuser effect below the back bumper as well. All those sort of features you expect on what they want to portray as a sporty SUV. This one does have xDrive, which of course is BMW's version of an all-wheel drive system, not for off-roading, but definitely for dirt roads, safety, wet roads, etc., etc. A nice extra safety factor built into the vehicle that is so very, very important for family use. And of course, the other factor that you look at is this is the 20D, which means it's powered by BMW's venerable, been around for many, many years, 2-liter diesel power plant. Now puts out to 140 kilowatts and 400 Newton meters of torque to all four wheels through BMW's standard, of course, 8-speed automatic transmission. Pop open the boot, and a car like this, you would expect it, of course, to have auto opening, and you'll see a really nice sized boot, nice flat load area, which is useful. So no load cell to lift goods over. Lift up, there's a storage area down there, but of course no spare wheel. You're on run flats, and I will not say another word on that subject. But that's what you get these days when you buy these cars. Simple as that. But it is a good space. I'd rate it at 500 plus litres of boot space. And of course, you can drop rear seats, do whatever you want at the back as well. So you have got the versatility as well if that's what you require. And you do, of course, get extra little places like to hold bottles, etc. And you get a parcel shelf as well along the way. All standard and all what you'd expect. Press the button to close, and there you go. So let's check it out on the road a little bit and have a good look inside. And talking about looking inside, something I have to point out, and BMW really over here. This is a 1 million rand vehicle. It really comes nicely spec'd. But at that money, at least the driver seat, some electric adjustment, not just manual adjustment. It's a nice sport seat. It certainly is comfortable. It holds you well. But to have to adjust the whole seat manually in today's world, I just feel a little bit shortchanged. I'd like to put it that way. And I just think maybe there's something missing over there on the standard spec. Cruising out on the road on the Harties route, as they call it, the R511. This X3 is certainly a pleasant place to be. But at the same time, and I've said this before about some of the BMW models, it's so familiar. It's almost too familiar from behind the wheel. You know you're in a BMW. You know it by fact, it's instinctive. But you actually have to work out which BMW you're in. But anyway, they have got a good system. The layout's excellent. Everything is good, so I can't criticize it. Just, I'd love to more individuality between models, that's all. But you've got everything you want. This 2-litre diesel engine, to me, is the pick of the bunch, quite honestly. Barring the M engines, and let's not talk about those, because that's a different game entirely. But for normal engines, can I call it, this 2-litre diesel of BMWs has been around for years, but it's proven itself, and it's still brilliant. 140 kilowatts, 400 newton meters of torque, and look at the smoothness it gives you. This is the point. It is just smooth, it's effortless, it's got what you want if you really want, if you want to overtake, or if you want to power around. But you've got sport modes as well, and flappy paddles, and all that stuff you're going to want if you want it. But it's also just a sublime cruiser, and that's the big thing. Something else I have noticed on this particular car is it's got lane keep assist on it, which I find a bit intrusive, quite honestly, and a little bit harsh for my likings when it decides to tell you that you're not staying exactly on the straight and narrow, can I call it that? And when it does, it gives you a harsh reminder. But anyway, that's just little points. But overall, the smoothness is brilliant. Typically, of course, with BMW, the run flat tires, the biggest noise you get is road rumble, tire rumble on the road. And that is quite noticeable. You can hear it over those rumble strips. It's loud. But that is a factor and a feature of the run flat tires, for example. I haven't mentioned, of course, this is an xDrive, so it is an all-wheel drive version as well. To me, all that is an extra safety cushion that you've got on the vehicle, more than anything else. Yeah, you can take this, I suppose, mild off-roading, dirt roads, whatever. Not off-roading, but dirt roads, certainly it'll handle very nicely. But as I said, you've just got that safety cushion for dirt roads or wet roads or anything like that by having the xDrive.
Hey guys, I'm sitting here in the new BMW X3 2-litre diesel, and this is the all new X3, and it is a marked improvement on the old one. I must say I thoroughly enjoyed my time in the car. It's economical, surprisingly sprightly given its considerable size, dimensions, mass, etc. It's extremely comfortable. Superb as always one would expect from BMW. Build quality, second to none. The Germans just do things properly, and the car has pretty much everything you could possibly want on it. It's close on R1 million in terms of actual list price, so it's not exactly what one would call cheap, but none of the finishes or anything in the car feels cheap. I spend quite a lot of time actually listening to the sound system on the car. It's my want, and it's impressive. It's a very comfortable space to be in the cabin of the new BMW.
I've said it before and I'll repeat myself and I'll say it's a great cockpit, and BMW have really got a great cockpit going. But you cannot, or I cannot tell the difference whether I'm in a 1 Series or an 8 Series or an X1, X3 or X7. It really doesn't make any difference. And I can't tell the difference. But anyway, let's have a look. We've done 450 kilometers on this test so far, and we have averaged, as soon as I get to it and scroll through, of course, as you have to do, and you will find we've averaged 7.8 litres per 100 kilometers for the test period. Not exceptional, but good old Leadfoot got hold of this car for a change, and he did some of the mileage, so I've got to allow for that. You've got your typical multifunction steering wheel, which gives you, of course, all your cruise control and all your controls and buttons, and you've got the really nice top level, of course, infotainment system from BMW with a nice big screen over there, plus, of course, the good old eye controller that you're so used to with all the BMWs. Clumsy, but it still does work well, and it's probably still one of the better systems around, and they certainly do improve it with every generation, so I won't complain about it at all. But it gives you absolutely everything you can possibly want and every function and factor you can want, including obviously your car, your driving information, and features like that. You can just keep scrolling through, and you'll pick up everything that you could possibly want to know about the vehicle and about what you're doing with the vehicle and how to set it up for yourself, especially those individual settings that you can put through and can input into the vehicle for yourself. Dual zone climate control, again, very, very standard, exactly what I'd expect from this vehicle and from a vehicle of this sort. Below that, you've got a nice area with a pull-down cover and a space there for your phone. But what is interesting is I found that space for the phone doesn't actually fit my phone. It looks neat, but the phone itself doesn't quite fit, so it kind of rattles around. Slot there for your key and a USB for the driver over there as well. So those are all nicely placed and very neat and useful. Of course, you come down to the 8-speed automatic gear shifter. It's the push-pull kind of system, as I call it. Works easily. You can click it over to manual if you want. And of course, you do have flappy paddles on the steering wheel as well for override, for manual use, if you want to use those and play with them a little bit while you're going through maybe a mountain pass or something of that sort, or in that line. Of course, you've got the buttons next to the gear lever for your park distance control, stop, start, auto, and obviously for your multi-function automatic transmission, eco, comfort, or sport. Just click the buttons, and in typical BMW fashion, it does actually make a difference to the performance, etc. of the vehicle. So that is useful and very, very nice. And overall, definitely does make a difference. Between the seats, you've got a nice armrest and console storage area, and there you go with the USB for the front passenger as well. So that's provided for over there, and the two, of course, for the back seat. So you've got enough connectivity spots for you in the vehicle, and that does make a very big difference. Lots of space in the back seat, that panoramic roof, which obviously is an extra, but I do like them. I must say, I find they do make the interior of the car seem so much lighter and brighter, and just a lot better in my book. One of the things about a car in this category, and it applies, I would say, to all cars in this category, is coming to a price. Because you get the base price for the car, and then you get the extras. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, on this particular car, I can't actually even tell you exactly what extras are fitted and what aren't. So you've got to be so careful when, as I always call it, ticking boxes and just choosing what you want and don't want. Sunroof, panoramic roof, for example, electric seats would be an example, and you would go on and on and on. One of the features on this car as well that I will mention is there's a lane keep assist, and I find it a little bit almost too violent for my liking, oversensitive, and pulls the car back pretty harshly when it detects or when it deems that you're going out of your lane slightly, and I found that a little bit harsh. But beyond that, the car does cost, call it R1,000,000 right now as a base price, and that is competitive to the market and this category. It's not as if it is outpriced or anything else. Got this great engine as far as I'm concerned, which is really a bonus, and then the extras. Well, the 5-year, 100,000 kilometer full maintenance plan is included. Never forget that either. For Motor Matters, I'm Eleanor. I'll see you next time.